and welcome to Hello Artist, an interview series where we get to know one visual artist but keep it brief enough to leave you wanting more. Kind of like listening to Iron Maiden without the bass. I'm your host, Marissa Thaler, and today we're talking to a sculptor who knows a little something about heavy metal. Please welcome Ivan Iler. Hello, artist.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate this.
Of course, yeah.
So why don't you go ahead and start out by telling us what kind of artist you are and what kind of artwork you do.
Well, primarily I'm a metal sculptor. I do all kinds of metal work. I'd say, I kind of excel in the kinetic artwork, but I also do a lot of large public metal sculptures. Also a sculptor in clay and paint as well. So a little bit of everything.
When you say kinetic, what do you mean?
Well, I could do a little better than just telling you. I can show you. Kinetic sculpture, you're just talking about a sculpture that moves. Sculpture that has movement. With the things that I do, I try to recreate moments and motions that you see in nature. So, for example, this is a little 2-foot whale model that I made. And so I can show you what I mean. Also got one over here in the other room. This is a fox that's chasing after a hare.
What kind of prep work goes into making these kinetic sculptures? I mean, I have to imagine there's a lot of research that goes into the movements specific to these animals.
Yeah, I mean, essentially that's exactly what it is. I have an idea of what it is that I want to try to create, and it doesn't matter if you're going to have it run off of a old meat grinder handle like a lot of mine do, or if you're going to have it run off an engine or motor. It's the same idea. You have one spinning motion, so you're trying to take one rotating motion and turn that into like linear and lateral motion, but also to get the right parts moving at the right space in the right time with the right portion of the body in the right position. So a lot of that, is just research, just watching animals, how they move, and trying to figure out a way to be able to recreate that with that one rotating motion.
Yeah. Is there anything other than animals that inspires you, or is that kind of where your inspiration often comes from?
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, sometimes just the machines will inspire me, just mechanics in general. I mean, this was something that I made. It's like a ball of gears. Mm-hmm. These were all just old transmission gears out of like old Harley transmissions. And I just thought, if I put these together in the right order, I could make a ball. That inspiration didn't come from nature at all. It just came from the pieces and parts that I had laying around, including this old exercise bike that makes up the bottom section of it. So sometimes the inspiration just comes just from what you have laying around. Sometimes it just comes out of nowhere. It just depends on what you want to build when you want to build it. I mean, this was something that was actually came out of a prosthetic that I was making for someone. It wouldn't have worked very well as a prosthetic, but the motion was still there. The movement was still there. And so I just kind of turned it into a little sculpture.
Mm-hmm. It kind of seems like a lot of your work is a really interesting marriage between like this mechanical element and then also like a very organic element, the hand, the fox, the whale. Are your pieces typically just for you to touch, or when you create them, are you thinking about how a viewer or a user might also access the movement?
No, it's absolutely for the viewer. That's actually the reason that I put handles on them. I could put motors on these and they'd work exactly the same. But the thing is, when you have something plugged in and you have a motor going and you have pieces moving, a lot of times, a lot of those things can be lost when someone can actually come up and touch something and move something and see what their actions are creating through their own movement. All of a sudden, it's not just a magical thing anymore. It's not just something that's plugged into the wall that just happens because the switch has been flipped. It's all mechanical. It's all naked and exposed, and they can see what's happening because of the motion that they're putting into the piece. So it's definitely built for the experience of the person who's viewing it.
Yeah, and I do think there's like a huge element of satisfaction when you see like a toddler making a line on the paper. I made that change. When you are turning the crank of the engine, it's like, or of the gear, it's like I'm creating this motion. You know, so it's like this shared experience almost.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So what would you say is your biggest or most exciting moment in your art career so far?
When I make something small, like these pieces here that I've shown you, I get a lot of satisfaction out of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done things that would typically be considered, you know, much more successful, like the big head there in Lansing, you know, or like that world's largest brown trout sculpture up in Baldwin. You know, those were great and they were a lot of fun to do. But yeah, I get a lot of joy even just out of building these things, or even painting. Like this is one just hanging on the wall here of some mushrooms that I painted. I can't really say what's the most, you know, exciting or wonderful moment in my career as an artist, because I get just as much delight out of, you know, sitting down and painting something like this as I would putting up a public sculpture.
All right, so we have come to the speed round section of the interview. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, first question. What's your favorite color?
My favorite color, probably either olive drab or yellow.
Question number 2. Who is your favorite artist?
Probably Da Vinci.
Oh, I can see that. That makes a lot of sense.
Does it?
Question 3. What is your favorite part of your creative process?
Doing it. Yeah, the actual creation. Yeah. A lot of people ask me, like, what's my favorite piece I've ever created? And the answer is always whatever I'm working on at that time. Mm-hmm. Once I'm done with it, it's not really as interesting to me anymore.
Question 4 is a question that's just for me. Okay.
All right.
Picture this, right? Dance party for one in your studio. What music are you playing?
Well, it depends on the mood. I mean, if you're talking dance party, I'd say Scissor Sisters are right up there.
Nice. Not that I know what like lonely dance parties at the studio look like personally or anything.
I have a few of those, yeah.
As we wrap up, is there anything that you wanted to plug right now, or tell us where we can find you on your social media pages?
I'm on Instagram at Ivan_Iler, and Ivan Iler on Facebook. That's usually where I post most stuff. Try to post what I'm working on so people can see it.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and this is a really special episode because I know it's going to be part of Reach's fundraiser, so it's kind of a special edition.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you asking me to do this. Reach means a lot to me, and you know, I've done work with them before, and they're really doing amazing work, and I'm honored that you asked me to do this. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for joining us today. You can find Ivan's information in the description of the video below. And be sure to join us next time where we say hello to one more artist. Thank you.